What happens when modern ideals clash with traditional egos? I mean, we're talking about a runaway groom swallowing poison.
Yeah, actual poison.
Right. And a desperate bride plotting to fake her own death in the newspapers.
Welcome, everyone, to another video on the Simplified Summary YouTube channel.
It is so great to be here doing this deep dive.
It really is. And before we get into the psychology behind all of this, I want to humbly ask you to please hit that subscribe button.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, drop a like on this video and share your valuable comments down below. Your support means everything, and, it helps us keep bringing you these incredible stories.
It really does help the channel.
So today, our mission is to extract a full, simplified summary of Munshi Premchand's fascinating story.
Right. Duh Sakhiyan, which translates to two friends.
Exactly. It's from 1925, sourced directly from the classic Mansarovar collection, and we are unpacking the psychological warfare of a marriage built on a blind vow.
It's just packed with timeless nuggets of insight about love, ego, and the true meaning of partnership. Yeah, and setting the stage here, this is a tale from 1925, but the psychological drama
Feels incredibly modern.
right, navigating toxic family dynamics, miscommunication, romantic ideals. It feels so relevant to modern relationships.
Well, because in 1925, India was at this massive cultural crossroads. You had a nascent feminist movement and modern educational ideals colliding head-on with thousands of years of entrenched patriarchal tradition.
Just the complete clash of worlds.
Exactly. So Duh Sakhiyan isn't just a domestic drama. These characters are avatars for that societal clash. The psychological profiles we see here are a direct result of trying to live a 20th century intellectual life within a 19th century family structure.
And that collision between the old world and the new world is exactly how the story opens. We meet our protagonist, Padma.
Right, through her letters.
Yeah, letters to her best friend, Kusum. She's writing from Lucknow in July 1925, and she describes a household engulfed in just absolute chaos.
Because of the weddings, right?
Yes, 5 weddings in just 2.5 months.
That's an intense amount of family time.
Seriously. And in these letters, Padma takes immense pride in having a progressive father. She boasts that he hasn't put her in chains, which, was the reality for so many women of her time.
Right, she has intellectual freedom.
She does, but then she does something that seems completely counterintuitive for a modern, educated woman.
The blind vow.
Yes! She accepts an arranged marriage to a Benaras law student named Vinod, a man she has never even seen.
She actively refuses the opportunity to meet him beforehand.
Which is wild. Okay, let's unpack this. Why would a woman who champions her own freedom willingly walk into a blind marriage? It's like hyping up a blind date to your best friend, but relying entirely on the romanticized idea of sacrifice and service.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is the contradiction in Padma's character. She champions modern freedom, but romanticizes traditional subjugation.
Like she wants the aesthetic of being a martyr.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It reveals a profound intellectual vanity. She isn't actually in love with Vinod. She is in love with the concept of performative martyrdom.
Oh, wow. So she wants to be the star of her own progressive tragedy.
Right. By accepting a blind vow, she gets to cast herself as this noble, enlightened woman who chooses sacrifice. She's romanticizing it because she's never actually had to experience it.
Because she's been protected by her progressive father this whole time.
Exactly. Her ideals are purely academic.
Yeah.
They haven't been stress tested by reality.
It is so easy to be a saint in a classroom, but a lot harder in the real world. I think about how often we do this today.
Oh, all the time.
Right. You fall in love with the idea of a relationship, the aesthetic of being a perfectly supportive partner, but it's entirely disconnected from the messy reality of the actual human being you're committing to.
Yeah, you build a conceptual framework for who you think you are, but you don't actually know until you're in the thick of it. And Padma's obsession with the idea of sacrifice is about to get a massive reality check.
A reality check that hits like a freight train on the wedding day.
Oh, the wedding's a disaster.
It really is. The story moves to the wedding, and the groom's side arrives. Immediately, they start complaining about the hospitality.
Even the ghee.
Yes, literally whining about the quality of the ghee used in the food.
Which is just so petty.
Incredibly petty. And Padma's father takes an alpha stance. He refuses to be bullied by them.
He essentially tells them, if you aren't satisfied, you can just leave.
Right. But the wedding proceeds. Afterward, Padma takes a train to her new home in Benaras. And in the compartment, a stranger approaches her.
This part is so intense.
It really is. This guy aggressively declares himself her admirer. Padma is furious. I mean, she is terrified and ready to physically fight him.
As any woman would be in an isolated train compartment.
Exactly. Only to realize grand twist the stranger is actually her new husband, Vinod, playing a prank.
Yeah, a really messed up prank.
I have to push back on this behavior. Why would Vinod play such a high-stakes, creepy prank on his new bride? I mean, isn't this a massive red flag?
Oh, it is a huge red flag. It reveals Vinod's deep psychological insecurity.
Insecurity. But he has all the systemic power as a husband in 1925 India.
He holds systemic power, yes, but internally, he is deeply intimidated. He knows Padma is highly educated, beautiful, and comes from a fiercely independent family.
So he feels the need to knock her down a peg?
Exactly. He needs to aggressively test her loyalty and virtue right out of the gate. By creating this terrifying crisis, he forces her to react defensively, proving she's pure.
Wow.
And it foreshadows his constant need for absolute theatrical validation to prop up his own fragile ego.
So he's artificially manufacturing devotion. And unfortunately for Padma, this need for control only magnifies when she arrives in Benaras.
Her life there is just miserable.
It really is. Her mother-in-law is freezing cold, going so far as to label Padma a sorceress.
Yeah, saying she's there to bewitch her son.
Right. And her two sisters-in-law act like literal spies. They're clearly jealous of her beauty and education.
They act as an immune system attacking a foreign body.
That is a perfect way to put it. To survive, Padma goes into total survival mode. She stops dressing up. She even takes her beloved books and hides them.
Which is so sad, because those books are the symbols of her intellect.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like shrinking your personality to survive a toxic workplace, only to get fired anyway.
Yeah, because despite all her sacrifices, Vinod suddenly vanishes one morning.
Just abandons her before she wakes up, leaving a devastating letter.
And the letter is just incredibly cruel.
He accuses her of being fickle. He claims he wants the free love of equals, not her forced subjugation. And he just abruptly abandons her.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Vinod's letter is a masterpiece of projection.
How so?
Well, he claims to want a strong, independent partner, right? But he stands by silently while his family crushes her spirit.
Right. He does nothing to protect her.
Exactly. He wants the prestige of an educated partner, but structurally, he requires the subservience of a traditional wife. And when she loses her spark to survive his family, it ruins his aesthetic fantasy.
He wants a blooming flower but refuses to water it, and then gets angry when it wilts.
That's exactly it. He blames her for the emotional disconnect to protect his own ego.
It is entirely maddening. Devastated, Padma stops eating and sleeping, and she devises this wildly melodramatic plot.
The newspaper plot.
Yes. She decides to publish a fake news story claiming Padma is dying, knowing Vinod reads the daily paper.
She figures faking her own death is the only way to shock him into coming back.
But before she can even send it, a letter arrives from her friend Kusum. And Kusum reveals that Vinod fled to Bombay, stayed with her, and in a fit of despair, actually swallowed poison.
Actual poison.
Wait, I have to stop here. Vinod runs away and drinks poison because of a simple miscommunication in his marriage. Isn't this peak melodrama?
On the surface, sure, it seems like a cheap soap opera plot. But psychologically, it makes perfect sense.
Really? Swallowing poison makes sense.
Well, think about the intense, almost literary expectations both characters placed on their marriage. The poison is the physical manifestation of his internal narrative collapsing.
Because reality didn't match the idealized fantasy.
Right. His fragile ego couldn't cope with the fact that he failed to be the progressive, enlightened lover he desperately wanted to be. He was actually a cowardly traditional husband.
So the poison was an attempt to murder the version of himself he could no longer tolerate.
Exactly. An escape from accountability, leading to a self-destructive breakdown.
Wow. Which brings us to the climax of the narrative. Kusum physically enters the story. She pulls up in a car with a man named Bhuvan, and she brings a physically weakened Vinod back to Padma.
But Kusum doesn't arrive with a shoulder to cry on.
No, she does not. Instead of comforting Padma, Kusum delivers a harsh but necessary truth. She tells Padma she needs to drop her ego.
Forget about her own beauty and intellectual vanity.
Exactly, and focus entirely on genuine empathy for the broken man standing in front of her.
And Padma's reaction is immediate.
Yeah, she falls at Kusum's feet, realizing Kusum is a true friend who essentially saved her marriage. Padma vows to start a new era of her life based on true connection rather than luxury or pride.
It's a powerful moment of surrender.
So what does this all mean? Kusum essentially saves the day by forcing Padma to stop making everything about herself.
Kusum's role here is crucial. She acts as the objective truth teller. She bridges the gap between Padma's intellectual pride and Vinod's emotional fragility.
Because up until now, they've both been playing roles.
Right. He was the progressive hero, and she was the noble martyr. Kusum teaches them that true partnership requires stripping away the stories we tell ourselves about who we are.
They both have to put down their weapons. His need for control and her need for moral superiority.
Exactly. True connection requires a raw, almost humiliating level of emotional surrender from both sides. Vinod's ego is shattered by the poison, and Kusum demands that Padma voluntarily shatter her own intellectual vanity.
So they can finally meet on equal, albeit broken, ground.
Precisely.
I'd love for you listening to reflect on this. Who is the Kusum in your life? The person who isn't afraid to give you a harsh reality check when your ego is getting in the way of your own happiness? We all need a friend like that.
We really do. And, looking closely at Premchand's text, it leaves us with a final, lingering, highly provocative question.
Oh, what's that?
Well, Padma vows to find liberation in her new empathetic surrender to Vinod. But we have to ask, did she truly find a modern equal partnership?
Or did she just compromise?
Right. Did she simply adapt her progressive ideals to survive within a deeply traditional system that was never going to change? Was this surrender a victory for love or a tragic concession to a patriarchal reality?
Wow. That is an unsettling thought to leave on. Is it emotional growth or just the ultimate survival tactic? I guess it depends entirely on the lens you view it through.
It really does. It's a brilliant ambiguity by Premchand.
Well, that is all the time we have for today's deep dive into Munshi Premchand's Duh Sakhiyan. To our incredible audience on the Simplified Summary YouTube channel, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for listening.
Please humbly remember to subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video, and share your valuable comments down below. We really want to hear your thoughts on Padma and Vinod's relationship.
Was Kusum right to tell Padma to surrender her ego? Let us know in the comments.
Exactly. And as you go about your day, think back to that train compartment and those performative ideals, and ask yourself, when the script in your head collides with the messy reality of another human being, are you willing to drop the performance? Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.